Moetivators, welcome back to Living Out Loud with Monaco. As an author, nail polish creator, and content curator, I am dedicated to motivating and encouraging others to live boldly out loud in life, business, and purpose. In this video, we are getting into that purpose and that business aspect. I have had many people ask me, what is the difference between a doctor of education and a Ph.D. in education? Because I know many people, when they hear me say I'm working on my doctorate of education, it's automatically assumed a Ph.D. But that is actually not what I am pursuing. I am pursuing a doctor of education, which is an EDD. So in this video, I am going to be sharing those differences between a doctor of education and a Ph.D. in education, and what some of those job differences are at the end of the program, because you will actually be surprised when you hear it. So if you are here because you're new and you stumbled across this video in your search, welcome. I hope this video is very helpful to you as you are deciding between choosing a Ph.D. in education or an EDD, also known as a doctor of education. Or if you're just interested in knowing in general, like, wait, hold on, what is the difference? I didn't know it was a difference. I hope you get what you're looking for in this video as well. Both take a lot of time. Both have similar outcome requirements. So yes, you still have to take comprehensive exams with both. You still have to do your dissertation proposal, and you still have to do your dissertation defense. So there is still a lot of similarities within both of these programs, but there are also a lot of differences. And from this video, you just may find that one of them just may be better than the other for you. So let's go and get it started in 3, 2, and 1. So let's go and get this thing going. I have my computer here and ready for me because I have some things written down to make sure that I do bring these up on the differences between the two, okay? So let's first start off when looking at the PhD, which is the most well-known doctorate degree that we primarily know. I'm going to start off with that, and then I'm going to be sharing on the other end the EDD aspect. A PhD is typically pursued when someone is very interested in research and teaching roles, primarily at the higher education level, okay? Now, an EDD is typically taken for someone who is looking for educational leadership. So they're not just looking at being a professor or to go into research, but they're looking at taking the practice of what they've learned and to put it into play and to serve in leadership roles. I'm going to get later into what type of leadership roles later on. And if you haven't already seen my video on what to look for when looking for a doctorate program, I'll make sure to link that into the video as well. So then now, when looking at those within the PhD, they're typically professionals that are within higher education, research institutions, and those who pursue EDD are typically coming from education. So they're typically coming from the K through 12 educational background, not always, but typically they have educational teaching practice already under their belt. So that is not something that is new to them when they're coming into this aspect. They may also be coming from nonprofit organizations that are working within particular communities, and they also may be coming from government. So you may find a lot of people within EDD are coming from government institutions, and I'm going to get deeper into why you may see that typically more than you do for PhD. So now, those who pursue PhDs typically pursue it to obtain a higher understanding or knowledge about a topic and to research and find basis in theory and everything of what is done. Those in the EDD program, they're more at solution-based situations. So they're more on the action-based research, where they're not only doing research, but they're performing a type of action with this research that can be applied to particular people or companies or whatever it is that they are researching within that context. So you will find that EDD is more practice-based versus research and knowledge and theory-based. Now let's get into the length of time, which is very interesting when you look at the outcomes from both, because prestige-wise, PhD, typically society likes to hold PhD to a higher prestige, and EDD, because it's only a doctor of education, you can't get an EDD in philosophy, you can't get an EDD in business. You know, those are things that you have to go into the PhD aspect for. But when it comes to education, you have two options, okay? And the EDD is typically the best option for that. But the length of time to complete, y'all, you will be surprised. PhD is much longer. So the length of time for a PhD is typically 4 to 6 years on the average, where a lot of people, it takes about 8 years to finish. An EDD program, you can take it in 3 years and be complete and have your doctorate in education, okay? And then also the difference is that the creation of them. So the EDD is typically created so that you can still work while taking the program, potentially. Most of the classes, you'll find that you can find them online, or you can find them in the evening times. You're not required to have a fellowship, but then also when it comes to paying for it, you're gonna have to have that graduate assistantship, and it's gonna be hard to work. In my case, I am not working full time. Well, I'm a business entrepreneur full time. So technically I am working, but I am not working for someone or in a school full time anymore. I stopped when I entered into the program because I had a graduate assistantship to help pay for my classes, and I wouldn't be able to work and receive those as well unless I want to pay for it with loans. PhD programs, you typically find that these programs come with a funding package, which means that you have to serve as a professional graduate assistant, and you're not able to work full time for that package, okay? So the timing and what you're able to do freedom wise is different between both. So now we're going to get into the juicy piece of what people want to know. What are typically the type of jobs that you get from both? And you'll be surprised to see which degree actually yields the most financially. So when looking at EDD, well, we're gonna start with PhD first. So the type of positions that you typically see someone with a PhD in, and what you typically see them go into after receiving their PhD education, is a post-secondary teacher or a professor at a university, an academic researcher, a research scholar, an educational director. So they may be a director of a particular organization, or a policy researcher. So you may see them working on the Hill or somewhere within government, researching policy, educational policy. You may actually see them within lobbying or whatever that may be. We're working with an organization that focuses on education. Now, on to the EDD. You may see them in educational leadership positions as a post-secondary administrator. So you may see them being like a dean of a college, a dean of a school. Well, you may see PhDs as well, but EDDs, you see them within educational leadership a lot. You may see them as a K through 12 admin. So they may be a principal, they may be a director within a school, they may be an assistant principal, the dean of students. You see them into these different types of administrative positions. Within the education executives, so they may be, well, the superintendent. So most superintendents that you may see, they're most likely, probably not all, but a lot have EDD, so Doctor of Educations, as superintendents or those big executives within educational programs. And they may be a research director. So a research director is someone who is like, you know, within an organization, and they are the director, so similar to what it was with the PhD. Now, looking at the different positions that you typically see an EDD in versus a PhD, the EDD typically yields higher salary ranges than a PhD. PhDs are still able to make a lot of money, not saying that they cannot, but EDDs and the types of positions that they typically go to are the positions that typically yield higher rates of pay. And so hopefully this video will help you a little bit more into understanding the difference between an EDD program and a PhD in education, and understanding that although you do go through the same aspects, both of them have to still do a dissertation, both of them still have to do research. You still have similar things, but when it comes to your aspect of getting in, the EDD is more practice and work based. Meanwhile, the PhD is more research and theory based. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new here and you have not hit subscribe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out my other videos that are not only related to my journey within a doctoral program, but then also anything that's related to business and life and growth. I would love to have you here, and make sure to turn on that bell notification next to it so that you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. I am thankful for having you all here, and as always, I hope you remember to always be real, always be true, don't be afraid to do what you want to do, period. I love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.